All right. So this is our presentation on the Dominican Republic by Ryan Hobb.
Aiden DeMarcy.
True one, Saul.
And Maria Lachira.
So the national dish of the Dominican Republic is La Bandera. So La Bandera is not the official dish of the Dominican Republic, but most people who live in the country would say it is. It's a popular rice, red bean, meat, and salad dish. They can be made with any kind of meat and various vegetables. It's an option in almost every restaurant in the Dominican Republic, which is why it's so popular throughout the country. The national flag of the Dominican Republic represents the Dominican Republic, and it is known as the national symbol. It was adopted in 1844. There are three primary colors: red, white, and blue, each representing different aspects of the country. I found it interesting that it is the only flag in the world with a Bible. The color red, the color red represents the blood of their heroes. White stands for salvation, and blue stands for liberty.
Socioeconomic status of the Dominican Republic. Over the past 25 years, the Dominican Republic has made remarkable economic progress. Back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even prior to, this part of the world was known for, being economically disadvantaged as they, were overcoming, legacies of colonialism, and that had an impact on their economic development. However, as a result of their increased international relations, the poverty rate in the Dominican Republic went from 65% in 1989 to 20.2%, which was the last taken in 2019. So, obviously you see that 45-point improvement there, which is just, remarkable as far as, lifting people up economically. Their current GDP is 94.24 billion, making this country one of the more economically prosperous or powerful in the Caribbean. Key economic industries include construction, agriculture, hospitality. Recently, this country has become a big tourist hotspot, which we'll allude to in some of our future slides. The political status of the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic operates as a democratic nation, which is ranked as having relatively free elections. Key issues in this country, however, include corruption within the government, discrimination of Dominicans of Haitian descent, and those of the LGBTQ plus community. There are some tensions between Haiti and Dominican Republic. They're both on the island of Hispaniola, which is in the Caribbean, one of the bigger islands. And because they're bordering countries and because of a lot of the political issues going on in Haiti, that often spills over into the Dominican Republic, causing this country to have to face some of those issues as well, and leading to some of that discrimination. The Dominican Republic has a freedom score of 68 out of 100, which is a 1-point improvement from last year. So overall, relatively stable country, and with decent quality of living. The ethnicities and demographics are pretty unique for the Dominican Republic. A majority of the population are considered mestizo, 72%, which means they are a mix between African and European descent. This is something found common in the Caribbean. 16% of the population is from European descent. This obviously comes from, more of that colonial history where, a lot of the Spanish conquistadors came over, and, they colonized down in Hispaniola, which is where the Dominican Republic is. And that 11% of the population is purely from African descent, which is mostly from, when the Europeans brought slaves to the Dominican Republic to, work the resources that were found in this area. And the mix between those two populations leads to what a majority of the modern population of the Dominican Republic is.
So talking about the languages spoken in Dominican Republic, the official language is Spanish. However, when we go more specifically into the Spanish part, we can see that it isn't regular Spanish, it's more called the Dominican Spanish, and it has dialects found in southern Spain and words borrowed from Arawak language, which is the native people who lived in Dominica and other countries as well. And within Dominican Republic, there are different languages also spoken, such as the Haitian Creole, which is 2% of the language spoken, Semana English, 1%, and Chinese, which is 0.5. Going specifically into some of the important leaders of Dominican Republic, we have Juan Pablo Duarte, who is in the left of the picture here. He was born in 1813, and he was responsible for the independence movement against Haiti in 1844. He founded the group called La Tristiante, which is the Trinity, and he grouped up with two more people and founded the group, which helped promote the independence movement happening against Haiti. And his monument is put in Santo Domingo, which is the capital of Dominican Republic. Another important leader of Dominican Republic would be Rafael Trujillo. He was born in 1891. He is one of the most famous dictators, and he ruled over Dominican Republic from 1930 to 1961. He ruled as a president, but also the chief of joint staff over the military. So basically, he just ruled for 30 years. He achieved reduction in debt, modernization of the country, and greater economic prosperity. But aside from all these advantages that he accomplished, he was known as the tyrant who killed over 20,000 Dominican Republican people. The main tourist attractions in Dominican Republic would mostly be pointed out as its beaches. Dominican Republic has one of the most beautiful beaches, and one of the beaches is Punta Cana, which has a 35-kilometer stretch of beaches and provides numerous attractions such as surfing, kayaking, scuba diving, whale watching, but also has a lot of hiking places as well, where you can go and enjoy the landscape. Another place that is a tourist attraction is Santo Domingo, which is the capital of the city. And the city was founded by actually Bartholomew Columbus, who was the brother of Christopher Columbus. So it has a very deep connection of history within it. So when you go to Santo Domingo, you can enjoy the museums, the art, and the National Palace.
So for the main imports and exports, every year the Dominican Republic sends and receives goods from other countries, such as the United States, Germany, and Brazil. The United States is the biggest export partner, receiving 65% of exports. Some of those exports include cigars, plastics, bananas, and more, but the three biggest exports of the Dominican Republic are cocoa beans, manufactured products, and jewelry. They also receive many goods as imports, such as cotton, iron, and corn, but the three most extensive imports are petroleum, cars, and industrial raw materials.
So some unique characteristics of the Dominican Republic is actually that it was the home to Christopher Columbus's New World first landing point. He named the entire island of what is now Haiti and Dominican Republic, he named it Hispaniola, and he made his son the first governor of it. Another characteristic of the Dominican Republic would be that it is the home of the first Catholic cathedral. It is called the Catedral Primada de las Americas. It is the first Catholic cathedral in the Americas, and it is located in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. So some of the country's challenges would be its poverty. It is a big problem in the Dominican Republic with a population of 10 million people, where 20.2% live in poverty and 10.2% live in extreme poverty. A possible solution would be placing an emphasis on education and the world powers offering financial aid to the Dominican Republic after natural disasters, where DR, they get a lot of hurricanes, they get a lot of natural disasters, and it is very important for us as world leaders to offer them help.
These are our references, and this now concludes our presentation on the Dominican Republic.